Going live.
Yeah. Oh, dear Lord, we're live. You know what time it is. It's time for Hot Topics Talk Radio TV, hosted by Tony Breedlove and Yvonne Baker.
Well,
I just realized we were laughing and talking in the very beginning, and it
well, that's what happens when you're doing a live show.
oh my God. Oh my God. Welcome to Hot Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Tony Breed, lovely lady there, and the encrusted jewels in her hair is Miss Yvonne Baker. What's going on, cuz?
Oh, nothing. Not much. Just a little bit.
If only people knew what we talk about before we go live. They just don't know.
They just don't know.
They just don't know. One day we're going to have to do a behind the scenes.
And we try to get everything in within 15 minutes.
Right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh,
welcome to the show, everybody. Again, I'm Tony Breedlove, and that is Miss Yvonne Baker. I'm actually trying to get things together as we speak. Um, just making sure that people know that we are on. But tonight we are going to be talking about something a little bit more on the serious side. As soon as I can find it. Usually we come to you and we're headed into some really fun shows, because we try and make sure that we can break up the week and make sure you guys have some fun. Tonight we're just going to kind of talk about some things that Yvonne had brought to the table, and when she says this is what we're going to do, I just write it up. She's a boss, so I do what I'm
well,
told.
gee.
So tonight's show is My Body, My Rights. How did it come about?
Oh my gosh. Where do I begin? So I don't listen to the news as much as I did last year, but
Mm-hmm.
I keep hearing about the um, the abortion, um, eliminating the abortion.
Mm-hmm.
It, and I am so sick and tired. I looked at so they had this. There was this article that I read that said on the Supreme Court that the I had all this in my mind to come up with,
Hi,
but
Bonnie.
about overturning um, the the Roe v. the Roe v. Wade. Yeah. So and the more I read, the more pissed off I got, and it was like, why are all these old ass people sitting up there talking about uh, the a fetus? One state, well, Texas is what is it, 6 weeks? After
Mm-hmm.
6 weeks, you can't legally have an abortion, and I think it's Mississippi. It's uh, what is 16 weeks or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? We're headed back to where we were before Roe v. Wade came along. Before Roe v. Wade, we had all type of people, women, going to all these bootleg doctors to get abortion. We had all these women found. dead in alleys trying to have self abort. Um, Women
Mm-hmm.
drinking, like, I was told that it was they drank some castor oil, of all things, but some castor oil trying to do an abortion, jumping off
Mm-hmm.
buildings trying to do an abortion. Now, not only they doing that. Now you've got women that's going to be going to other states trying to get legal, get the abortions. The states that have not implemented that rule. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, this is my body. And I'm pro-abortion. I don't believe in abortions. That's why I got 4 kids. I don't believe in abortion. I love my kids. Now I have to say I have had an abortion, but it was due to uh, medical issues, and that haunted me for years. And I can still think about it now, and it's still I still get upset and sad about it. But I felt like at that time I couldn't have a child because it was like a 50-50 chance that the child would have a disability. And I
Mm-hmm.
could not run the risk of having a disabled child, not
Right.
knowing I was a child. So I'm like, how am I going to raise a child? And I don't even know how to raise the one that I have, that I had. So my doctor gave me a choice on how to do it. It took a few days to figure it out, talk to my husband. We both decided that that was the best thing to do. So, um, but I still feel like it is our body. We are in control of our bodies. We have the say, we have the right, we have the choice of how we want to and what we want to do with our own bodies. And if it's so many, there are so many kids that are in orphanages and foster care. And now, they're what are they going to do with these people? They got so many now. What are they going to do with these women that have babies and that drops them off at a hospital because they are made to have them, and so they, now that it's you can drop off a child now like it's a sack of potatoes and go about your business. Now somebody else got to take care of it, and I think the is using
Mm-hmm.
system
And
is
Chris,
using these hey Chris, these
and Jackie.
foster parents.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's like my son and I, Brandon and I, was talking about it yesterday. He had 4. He's got 3. They were going to be foster parents for these kids because they could not. He couldn't see them going to going in the system, and they've been split up. So one of them went with their dad. Then the other 3, he's got 3. Then he was down to 2. They are not, because of their income. They are not supplying them with any kind of compensation.
But see,
No
that's the whole thing.
compensation.
But
Yeah,
that's the whole thing, because who is going to take care of the children that are unwanted? But for me, I think it goes a little deeper. I think it goes to the point that there has to be a reason why they're asking so fervently to take the right away take the rights away from women to make a choice whether or not they want to raise these children. There's something deeper behind it. You've got the issues of now some of these foster care homes and organizations, because they get federal funds as well as state funds to be able to run these homes, these organizations. So there's got to be something that's deeper than just the fact of controlling a woman's body. Um, when we talk about taking away the rights of women, you're talking about starting with this. They've been trying to overturn Roe versus Wade for years,
Mm-hmm.
4 years. And now we've got Texas being the first state that says, now we're going to put the lawmaking in the hands of everyday individuals. So if I were to get pregnant, God forbid, because and to me
That
at
would be
this
a
age, if
miracle.
I were to get pregnant, only me, God, and the clinic will know about it. But if I were to get pregnant and I said to a friend, I really can't do this. I can't keep this baby. She now has the authority to turn me in.
Yes.
And what's so crazy, in addition to that, is that she now has the right to also report the doctor
Yes.
that I have chosen to perform this procedure.
Yes.
So it just you're a lawmaker, you're establishing laws, but you're establishing it so that everyday people can now be the snitch. So you're not really taking hold of it and keeping it in the hands of government. You're now putting it in the hands
So the
of
public.
everyday American people.
Yes.
So to me, that's the most asinine because you think we got killings now, just blatant killings. I was watching court TV while I was working today, and you got people shooting folks in a movie theater because he used his phone to text. So think about it. You keep putting more and more responsibility or more and more uh, rights in the hands of people to be snitches and to tell on you and to take the law in your own hands. Hell, we just watched a case where that happens, where two men just went to prison or three men went to prison for taking the law into their own hands. This
Exactly.
is going to be the same thing, just another way of keeping the division amongst people. That I mean, that's the only way that I can see it.
It's the only, I mean,
Uh,
yeah, I can see that myself. But they need to,
mm,
that, I think CC said a few minutes ago, there's less pregnancies now. Not that many people are having kids.
mm,
That's because of Planned Parenthood. They are able to go,
right.
if they are careless and don't don't use protection, then you have Planned Parenthood to go and correct that that mistake that you made. But now
Mm,
you can't
mm,
even you can't even do that. And I'm not saying it's right. Believe me, I am
right.
not saying it's right, because people take
Me
advantage
too.
of a situation. And there has been, I mean, there are so many Planned Parenthoods or doctors that are willing to do abortions, DNCs, that it was possibly getting out of hand.
But see, but you know what the problem is that when we were coming up and we were coming into womanhood, there was a Planned Parenthood on every damn corner, if not every other corner. You could find somewhere. And it was not just, and I have to make this clear, Planned Parenthood was not just for the purpose of
Abortion.
terminating a pregnancy.
Yes.
Planned Parenthood was there as a mechanism, as a pillar for women who either wanted to get birth control or they were having reproductive problems and issues. They were having other medical issues that they could help you along the way. Because face it, even back then, as it is now, it takes forever for you to get referrals from your regular physician to see an OBGYN or a gynecologist. Period.
Exactly.
So Planned Parenthood was put in place for the purposes of not just getting rid of or terminating pregnancies. It wasn't for that. It was a place that you could go to if you had little to no insurance, which they did take insurance. They did all of that, but they were
Mm.
there for women. That's what they were put in place for. And people get that so twisted just because the abortion piece comes into it.
Well, so when
Uh, let me read. Let me
okay.
read this comment right quick. Cece is writing up a storm. She says young people are opting to travel and invest and experience life. We are no longer aspiring to become someone's wife and mother. Women are out here living their best independent kid-free life. A lot of them are.
A lot,
A lot
but
of
there
them
are
are.
and there are some now. I personally was on birth control pill on the birth control pill when I got pregnant with Brandon. I
Mm-hmm.
personally had an IUD when I got pregnant with Derek. So I did the next best thing. But I was old enough and I had enough kids that my doctor went on and did the procedures. So, but you
Mm-hmm.
have people, I mean, they have the shots, they have the day after, they have the pill, they have all these different um, um, birth control protections, but everybody's body don't respond to those protections. So, I mean,
Right.
what happens if you're on birth control and you end up getting pregnant? Then what? Now you got to have if you're
Yeah.
raped, if you were raped and you get pregnant by that rape, you got to have that baby. Who wants to hold a rape baby
See,
for term?
right. But and that's what I wanted to try and talk about because when we had brought up uh, Texas law, right? A lot of women don't know they're pregnant until after 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They a lot of people don't know they're pregnant until they reached past 6 weeks
Right.
because a lot of women's periods are not regular. Um, I don't know if it's because of the foods we eat and all of these different things. Well, hell, I ain't had one in shit. I don't know how long now, but um, but all of those things play as factors. You've got stress levels now that are basically out of control where they haven't been before. So there's a number of different things that can alter a woman's cycle. So a lot of times, you don't know that you're pregnant until you're 2 months. That's
Well,
clearly past 6 weeks.
my
And a lot of
grandmother,
people get, mhm,
my grandmother didn't know she was pregnant with my mom until she was giving birth because she had her cycle every month. They rushed her to the doctor, and she didn't gain any weight. She had no kind of no clue that she was pregnant. So when they rushed her into town to find out why she was having all these pains, and the doctor told her that she was delivering a baby. So I mean, you have women that they can have their cycle the whole time and not know. Now what?
let's let me go back to some of these comments. Bonnie, you and these long ass comments. Did I read? Let's see. Personally, I think this abortion law is based on the fact that some white people are in fear. They are the minority and they want white women who get more abortions than blacks to stop terminating their race. That's just my opinion. And that could be a part of it because I think it's all an agenda. Everything I think that these folks are doing has an agenda. CC says, I wanted my tubes tied and they told me I was too young. I wish they just did it. And you know what? I had my tubes tied after my son, my only son. And I had him at 27. They wouldn't do it. They said, wait 3 years. I said, okay, I can do that. They thought I was kidding. And I think on the on the day that I turned, no, it was like a week after I turned 30. I went ahead and I made that call. I said, look, we got to schedule this because I don't want no more babies. I just didn't. I had so many things going on.
Well,
But yeah,
I had mine
yeah,
tied. I
just
had mine tied at 30. I think I was like 32.
hmm hmm And Bonnie says she was 5 months before she found out, still cycling, no weight gain, and was on the pill. That's what you were
There
saying.
you
You were
go.
on the pill as well. You know, yeah, yeah. Cece says if you look at Planned Parenthood, it was developed so that Black people would eliminate pregnancies. It backfired on them. It, mm, yeah, I think in a lot of ways, and I want to say this carefully because there's always this conversation about uh, things being developed to eliminate Blacks or whatever the case may be, right? But I think that with Planned Parenthood, I don't think it was just meant for Black people. It was meant to be able to serve as a purpose of providing some sort of health care for women issues.
A
It
safety
just so
net.
happens that more Blacks were going to them because a lot of those centers were in more urban areas than you found them in white areas. But they were all around. They weren't just in the Black neighborhoods, and it wasn't just Black folks that was going there. It was there and put in place to help women in a whole with their female issues. It didn't have a whole lot to do with just doing abortions. I think that, a lot of times, because the numbers are up for Blacks, we tend to think, oh, well, they did it for our, just to get rid of us. Well, hell, we got free mind. We didn't have to go. I
Now,
mean,
I've been to a couple of Planned Parenthood clinics, and I think I saw more non-blacks than I saw blacks in there. And
right.
yeah, so it's just that, back then it wasn't, all these different types of medical things was going. We had back then the women were on what's that thing called?
What?
Government checks. So, they received
Welfare.
welfare. Women were on welfare. So welfare wasn't really, I mean, they wasn't, you didn't get really good medical on welfare. You had
No, you didn't.
medical and you had food stamps. They gave you a little bit of money and then they gave you, depending on how many kids you had, a little bit of money and a little and some food stamps. So, you know, they had to go and do something to eliminate having all these kids. But and believe me, and I have been in social services buildings trying to collect food stamps before, and I think I saw more white people in there than I saw black people. It
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
non-black people, I should say, because it wasn't just white.
Because
So it
that's another misnomer too, though, Yvonne, is that more Blacks. I mean, that's just a stereotypical
yeah,
response when we talk about welfare. People think that there's more Black folks on welfare, and that's clearly not the case. I mean, you can look at the statistics. You can look it up and see that there are more non people of color on welfare than there are people of color.
yeah,
Um, but and we have to look at it on the basis that I think Blacks make up in this country, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong or even look it up. I think Blacks make up 24% of the population in this country. Okay, not a huge number, right? So when you take that small number, that 24%, and you lump it into how many people are having abortions, the rate of that is going to be higher. So, it's like, come on. I want us to think and I want us to be able to read things and find these things out. But I have to go against the thing that, Planned Parenthood was only put on the planet to get rid of blacks. That ain't the case.
Yeah, I have to.
That's not the case. It really was not the case. So I want you to go back and read. I really do. There was a purpose behind it, but it wasn't to kill blacks and eliminate black babies. Yeah, that's not the case. Um, what else was I going to say? But you know what? But see, this issue of Roe versus Wade affects not just women, it affects men as well. It affects men in a way that, say, for instance, this father doesn't he agrees with you, he doesn't want children, and you all of a sudden find out that you're 8 weeks pregnant and you can't do anything about it. Now what? Now you're forcing a man into paying child support,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to force him to pay child support, even though he didn't want the child in the first place, and you both agreed you didn't want the child. You couldn't handle having a child and being a parent at that point. So now the government is in the man's pocket saying, look, this your baby. You got to pay for it. But he says, shit, I didn't want it anyway. He don't pay. What happens? He goes to jail.
And
He gets his rights taken away.
we already have that scenario going on now. Men that want kids, they tell their woman, we want to have a baby. Then they have the baby, and then he ghosts. He's a ghost. He's not there to take care of that child. It's all left up to the woman. She didn't
On the
really want to
woman.
have it. Yeah. So I mean, all it's going to do is just going to make things a whole lot worse.
But see, I find it interesting that lawmakers can try and put in place legislature that limits a woman to the rights of her own body. But they have not said anything, I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, about people who choose to have elective surgery to change their sex. And don't get me wrong, LGBTQ, I'm not making a dig, but
Actually,
I'm just
they have,
saying that is an elective as well.
and that was
So,
that other person was against that. So that was a big controversy about sex change. If they had been in the military, they can't use military benefits to have sex changes, and you know, so that's already been there.
but it's just like it's 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 going in reverse. Because even though I think a lot of people have sat back and said, "Oh, you know what? We've been battling Roe v. Wade for years, and it's not going to happen." Well, it could, it could, because now we've got this divided nation on how we vote, uh, how we think of our politics, what we think is right is wrong, and vice versa. So as time goes on, I do believe that it will happen. Now, if and when that does happen, that Roe v. Wade is overturned and now a woman cannot get abortions, can you imagine that now they can start to take the woman's right away to vote? Because you got to remember, those two things went hand in hand when we talk about women's rights. They went hand in hand. So with lawmakers and policymakers now sitting in our government offices making decisions on Roe v. Wade, they're also looking at the woman's right to vote. Same way they are disenfranchising blacks, African Americans, from having more accessible polling places. So it's it's all starting to turn back around. And it's because of this crazy thinking that the law has to be enveloped in everything we do in our daily lives. But you notice that a lot of it has to do with women or blacks. And I'm not really sure if I've heard anything of late as to like the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matters movements. Haven't heard too much from them lately.
Nope.
And they haven't been in any press conferences or given statements of anything of this nature. And it's just my question whether or not we're going to start to hear from them. Because all of these different organizations out there, they promote to care about people's rights, women's rights, men's rights, blacks' rights, gay rights.
You know,
When are they going to start speaking up?
since you mentioned that about the women's rights to vote, this could be when you were saying about there's something deep, something deeper going on here. This this particular subject about overturning Roe v. Wade came after they're trying to eliminate blacks from voting. Who's the person? Who's behind these black men voting? Women are. So they figure if they can eliminate, and I'm just saying, if they can eliminate the woman's right, there's less chance that there will be they will vote Republicans out of office if they can get us out of the way. So if we can't vote, if they take away our right to vote, then it's just the men are going to be able to vote.
Exactly.
So that could be what's that deep.
It's deep. It goes in so many different directions
Yeah.
because I sit and watch. I'm gonna get away from it too. I sit and watch news and court TV. I mean, that's my entertainment, right? I'm just weird that way. But I sit and I watch this stuff, and then all of these thoughts start coming into my mind as to why are these things happening. Um, Case in point comes with what we were talking about on Real World News. Was it last night? Yeah, last night. And with the case of this young boy going in, shooting up that school in Michigan, parents knowing about it. Uh, Now you're going to start charging people and making them responsible for a killer. But that would not have gone the same way had it been a black child and black parents. It just wouldn't have gone the same way.
Right.
But all of these concessions are being made with white folks as the example, but they can be used as a weapon against blacks. And if we're not careful about how we disseminate this information, if we're not careful on what we're reading and what we're ingesting, then we're going to get lost. We're going to get lost. If they overturn Roe v. Wade, of course, you're going to see more blacks in the alleyways because blacks have the less access to premium health care. Simple as that. So That's why I hate talking about serious stuff because I start to get upset and I'm trying to pace myself. But the problem is that we don't get involved enough. We don't read enough to get an understanding how all of this stuff fits. You know, CC, I think it was CC that made the comment, you know, that the Planned Parenthood was put in place for Black people. Not necessarily, and I said it before. Just like these laws that they're going to start enacting, such as using this case with these parents of this shooter, they're going to use that case as precedence, and it's going to not work against them. It's going to work against us. Although you haven't seen a Black boy shoot up a school ever, you haven't.
Nope.
But they're going to make us responsible for our kids going out here and shooting up folks in the streets.
Yeah.
Think about it. The gun laws are loose. There are no gun laws. There are no gun laws when everybody can get a gun. But you've got folks in Chicago, I think they have the highest gun rate. I think.
Is it Chicago or New York?
I thought it was Chicago.
Might be.
But now you're going to start getting these folks, and when I say folks, I mean these parents of these shooters, and locking them up.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to use it as a precedence to do this. And if you just pay attention to how these cases are going, and when they start to enact legislature on these laws, and this is just not Roe v. Wade. This is, gun laws, not just the woman's right to choose. This is going to be the right to bear arms. This is going to be all kind of different things, because you can see a shift and you can feel this shift in the universe. And I don't want to sound like a weirdo, but you can feel it. But you just got to sit there and you got to pay attention. You have to pay attention. What I was saying about Roe v. Wade affecting the men, that's going to be a way of locking them up. It's going to be a way of locking them up. And it's not just going to be Black men, it's going to be white men too, because they're the worst too. And I have a few white friends, and they're the worst. They're the worst too. They don't pay shit either. They don't. Nope. So, I don't know. That's just my thought. I'm done talking.
Well, you know what? It's just so. And I keep wondering, why are the Dems not protesting this act that these people are trying to do? Why are they? It's like they're not saying or doing anything.
That's because the feminist movement is not what it was. Same way civil rights movement is not what it was. You had the feminist movement coming along with the Vietnam War. Remember?
Right. Yes.
We weren't up in arms about Afghanistan, sending young men and women over there to be gunned down and killed and hunted. We haven't said we don't want a war since Vietnam.
We haven't.
No. And that came along around the same time as the feminist movement, during the hippie movement. What was that? Woodstock. So you don't see those who are really with their fists high up on anything now. We've become so complacent that we are sitting back and we're allowing lawmakers to tell us how we should live our lives. instead of fighting for it. We don't.
And see, and that's what, okay, and I understand BLM. These people were out there every day, state to state, fighting about Black Lives Matter. But what happened to our rights? That matters too. These they we all need
Yeah.
to get out there and have do a march on our rights. This is affect our rights. This is affecting our lives. This is affecting our kids, our grandkids. All our, if they pull through with this overturning um this case,
Hmm.
we're fucked. We are fucked.
Yeah. I'm trying to find because Chris was asking, are there any statistics or data on abortions? Yes, it is. I'm trying to find it for you. Um, if you go to usafacts.org, and it's another one. Um, 'Cause I used to do a lot of research for our shows, and then Yvonne made me stop.
Yeah, because you kept coming up with all these the statistics. I can't even say it. The statistics are, and you got a percentage of them doing this, and you got a percentage of them doing that, and then you got this. By the time we get through with all the statistics, the show is over.
Oh my God. And you can also go, Chris, to the CDC, cdc.gov, and you're going to look up reproductive health. They've got statistics on that as well. Um, there was three or four of them that I used to always go to. But I think CDC is going to have your more up-to-date data, and you can find it on there. That's cdc.gov, and it's reproductive statistics. Let's see. Let's go back. Rittenhouse trial
It did.
showed that. Oh, when we were talking about, yeah, yeah. Then Miss Cece says people don't care about things that don't directly affect them.
But
You're
it
right, they
will.
don't. But the unfortunate
It
part,
will, but it
yeah, but
is.
see, they will. Yeah, but by then we're already in the throes of it before people care.
Once you get into the throes of it, ain't no going back.
It's really not. It's really not. Because what's put in place is going to be put in place. But see, we have a right to uh, push against the grain because before laws actually are handed down and they put on the books and they actually mean something, they have to create legislature for it. And we hear about them all the time. You
Yes.
can go to the White House website and you can look at the things that are coming up that are going to be voted on in the House and in the Senate. So you have a right to contact either the White House. You can contact your local Congress people, your representatives. You have, because they go to Congress and they represent you. They represent your district. So if you have enough people in your district that says, you know what, I don't want to see another damn cat house here. You tell your representative, and they are supposed to take it to the hill. But we don't use those advantages. We don't use them. And that's what I think pisses me off about us everyday people. You know, we sit, bitch, moan, and complain about it, but won't do anything about it. And you're right, Yvonne. You don't have the organizations put in place like Because I think, what was the name of that organization? Um, oh, it was a woman's right organization, and it was in the late 70s or 80s. I can't remember the name, but they were a feminist. They were part of the feminist movement when all of that first started. When Roe v. Wade, because when did Roe v. Wade hit the books? I think it was 70.
73.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So imagine them fighting for this right to choose. Okay. And knowing that it took years for it to actually clear and hit the books and become a law, based on statute, based on precedents in court cases. Think how long that takes to hit the books. You have time to step in and say, "Look, dude, I don't want this. My neighbor said they don't want it. Here's this piece of paper that I got 500 or 5,000
Seriously.
signatures in my district. Here, representative, take it on to Congress." That's all you got to do. There are more people that feel the same way about things that are going on, same as you. You just got to open your mouth. You just got to open your mouth. That's it. Be a pest.
Maybe you and I need to start a feminist movement.
All right. I'm down.
I am too. I'm serious. Because you know what? I can't go back. It took us too long to get where we are now.
Yeah.
And next thing somebody made a joke about what's his face, about him having all the blacks packed up and sent back to Africa. At the rate it's going, that's probably where they're what they're trying to do. Trying to
They
just
don't
pack
want us
up,
here no how.
put us back on the ship in chains and take us back to Africa.
They don't want us here no how. Shit, they trying to go to the moon to get away from us. So what does that tell you? They don't want to be bothered with us.
Even that what's his name
Girl,
with the
please.
straight hand? He got his black ass up there.
Yeah.
But
They
I'm
trying not to be here with us.
and it's just I am just so tired of it. Just seems like it's a never-ending battle. It's always something, and it's you would think that the our leaders, and I know that they've only been in office 9 months, and I know that they had a whole bunch of shit on their plate when they came in, but there needs to be something, some type of organization needs to be um, um, put in place for the 14th Amendment. It needs to be something needs to be put in place for it.
But see, the thing is that, and I think, who was that said Kamala? Oh, Vonnie was saying that you haven't heard anything from Kamala. You know, Vonnie, I was talking to Mom about that just a couple of days ago. But the thing is that the agenda, if you would listen to Biden in his campaigning, his agenda was solely based on infrastructure and jobs.
Okay.
That was what he was running on. That was his platform. And that is what he's doing right now. That's why you don't hear from Kamala. You don't hear, because he has to be the one that says, you know what, Ms. Harris, VP Harris, go out there and rile the people. Get things done. Right?
There, yeah,
When is
but
he
then,
going to do that when all he's doing is infrastructure?
well, okay, so he had infrastructure on his platform. He had a COVID-19. I mean, he's done that. Now
Well,
it's time to move on.
COVID grandfathered in from the last idiot.
Yes.
So he didn't have a choice. He had it anyway. So that was on a national plate. But he chose to put and fill his plate with everything that was infrastructure because he's figuring it's going to create more jobs. Well, hell, I'm a recruiter and I can tell you, folks just don't want to go to work.
They don't.
There are plenty of jobs, but they just don't want to go to work. But
They don't.
instead of him saying, okay, VP Harris, I'm working on infrastructure. You go take care of the stuff that's going on in the Black community. Find out about what's going on with the gun laws. You need to be meeting with the NRA. You need to do things that are foreign policy. You haven't heard her fly not one place in a year.
Not much.
No, I
But
take that back. I take
but
that back. She did
you're
fly,
right. She don't have to be the
and
one.
that was overseas.
She can have. Look at Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams is. I mean, of course, it was. She was pushing, for voters and stuff, but she is good at what she do. There are other women that's in that bags her. Black women that can start a campaign or whatever you want to call it to overturn these people that want to overturn the 14th Amendment Constitution.
But see, but and that's why I was pushing for Abrams to be nominated as a
I was
VP. I was really hoping that that was going to be his choice. I mean, of course, I went with it because it was Kamala, but that's what we do. But she's really not doing it. You don't hear anything. Now she could be doing something behind the scenes. And I'm not saying that she has to do everything and take care of everything that's wrong with this country on how it's run, because he has a whole cabinet for that. You've got Buttigieg,
but
who
they ain't
was
doing.
one of the
Buddha-
candidates. You've made
He's
him Secretary of Transportation. So, okay, so he's doing transportation. Kamala, you don't have to do that, but you still got other issues, you see,
yeah.
but you don't hear
Kamala
from
don't
him.
have to be. She don't have to be a part of the infrastructure.
No,
That's what he's
no,
doing.
'cause
She
that's
don't even
India.
talk about infrastructure.
Never has. Never has.
It
She
is.
talked about the rights to vote, women's rights. I don't remember her mentioning anything that had to do with, a woman's right to choose, but her platform did include women's rights in some issues. And that
Well,
was what equal pay and trying to it was a few of them, but it had nothing to do with a woman's right to choose. I don't believe.
I don't remember, but I know it was about women's rights. Well, our rights are being affected right now, by them trying to overturn Roe v. Wade. That is
Hmm.
part of our rights. That's what she
Hmm.
needs to get her ass out there and start doing. And I noticed tonight I'm doing more cussing than you.
I'm getting better.
I see. It's rubbed off on me.
I know. I'm just sharing the wealth. Sharing the wealth.
But
Oh
seriously,
my God.
they need to do something. This is really it's really getting out of hand. Out of hand. No, it's got out of hand. When the government can tell people what they can and cannot do, we're
Mhm.
supposed to tell them what they can and can't do.
It's completely turned around.
Yes.
Like it's like they don't have to ask us anything. They just say
No.
this is going to work, and they say, "Well, let's go for it. Let's vote on it." You know, and they have not consulted with constituents at all. Mm-mm. Let's see, uh, Bonnie, please. Sis, please. I know who your parents are. You doing better? Yes, I got my cousin Jean. Honestly, I really do.
Yeah, because
But
when I
yeah,
met
you're
you,
right. I mean,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna comment on what Vonnie said. when I met your mom, I thought it was like, damn, the apple sure didn't fall far from that tree.
Right? And then she has a nerve now to tell me, you cussing too much. I want you to be a lady. I want you to calm it down. I'm like, why ain't that the pot calling the kettle black? She must be trying to get into heaven. It's like, are you kidding?
Now she around her husband now. Wait till she come when she come to you, it's on and popping.
Girl, don't you know? Don't you know? Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Nisi. What's going on,
Hey,
cousin? So yeah, I mean, we're living in this time of serious transition,
yeah.
serious transition. And like I said earlier, Yvonne, I mean, it's just so important. I mean, people think that, I know a lot of people think I'm a weirdo because that's all I do is I listen to the news. And it gets to a point where I think I've told you before, I have to kind of like step away from it because it does begin to be too much. It really does. But that's the only way that you're going to gather information and disseminate what is right, what's wrong, and have some critical thinking about yourself to understand that, okay, well, this line over here that this person said is bullshit. The other one over here, it might be a little of the bullshit, but I can understand. But you got to figure out what's in the middle that makes all this stuff right, you know? And if you're not taking this information in and getting this information from somewhere, then what can you do to be a part of our change? What can you do? Just simple conversations like this envelops change. It stirs people. But if you're
Yeah,
not
but
going to do it, if you're not going to be a part of it, then you can't complain about it.
do it stir enough. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Oh my gosh. What did Chris say? Keep cousin Tony. You know how it makes me feel. Chris, I ain't starting with you. We did a whole show and we did good. We didn't go into anything but this. I'm proud of us,
Don't worry,
Yvonne.
we'll be back next week.
Because next week is the last week for all shows.
Is it? Is
This
it?
is
Oh
we
yeah, it will be.
usually go out. Yeah, we usually go out around what is it, the week before
Christmas.
Christmas or the week of Christmas. And then we come back in January, usually the second or third week in January, because nobody listens to the shows. Nobody's online. Everybody's trying to travel and
Do
spend time with
shopping.
spend time with family and all that kind of stuff. And who are we to interrupt your good time? And then we've got families of our own. So next week will be the last week for all the shows. We'll go on a hiatus for a couple of weeks and then come back the second or third week in January. And besides, I'm waiting on my grandson. She has
When is
already started dilating.
has she?
So, yeah, yeah. So he's going to come before my birthday. We thought he was going to come on my birthday, but he'll probably be making his appearance, if not over the weekend. Uh, it'll be the first of the week next week.
Well, she's already started dilating. Today is just
She was
Wednesday.
only at 1 or 2 because she was feeling some discomfort. And she went to the doctor and they said she is at 1 or 2 centimeters, something like that.
Do you know that once it starts really dilating, it can jump from 1 or 2 to 10 in a minute.
In a minute.
In a
Yeah.
minute.
So I am on baby alert. because Miss Kennedy is coming to stay with me for a couple of days.
Oh, uh-oh. Are you sure
That
you
little
don't?
girl,
Oh, excuse me. Are you sure you don't want to do the last show tonight? Because you may not be able to do it next week.
that little girl, but she's sweet as she can be. So Cameron said, because she called me this evening. So Cameron said she's been looking at the door saying, Granny, Granny, wondering where I was like. So
So,
he said, here, call your granny. And so it was the funniest little thing. I mean, she tells me she wants pizza. I said, well, what are we going to do? I said, what do you want to eat when you come to Granny's? She said, pizza. I said, well, you can't just eat pizza because I'm not eating pizza. So she's bananas. I was like, okay. She loves fruit. So I'm on Kennedy duty next week. So pray for me because I'll still be working. So I don't know how I'm going to do it.
oh my goodness. Good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Let me head to these last comments because we're at 8:02
And
and we should be out of here.
I'm just gonna come strolling in. Excuse me. Gonna come strolling in.
I know. Conversations, yes, but at the willingness to grow and change is the key. Most people find it hard to admit to inner ugliness, let alone discard it. You're right. You are right. Congratulations. Oh,
You know
you
what?
just trying to get in my pants. No, I'm just,
See, I was going to say something. But I keep that part to myself.
oh. Alan says, whatever we do best should be the vehicle we use for change in ourselves or to help others. You guys do a great job. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you,
Love you.
Alan.
Um, Bonnie says, child, you better get ready because grandma duties full time hit different. Yeah, I know. Praying for you. Yes. And the safe, healthy
Yeah.
delivery of your new grandbaby.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sis. Yeah, I'm getting a grandson, and that's going to be fun. I love little boys. I love little boys. So, anyway, Chris laughing about trying to get in my pants. I'm serious. That's all you trying to do.
So is he.
Talking about the prettiest grandma. Yeah, right. Anyway, so you ready to get out of here? It was a good conversation. I appreciate this topic.
It was. I hope you guys
Hmm.
appreciated this topic tonight. Just something different.
Yeah, I hope so.
It's seriously
So
different.
next, yeah, yeah. I mean, but it has to be done. I mean, every now and then it's okay to put some serious stuff in there because this is one of those hot topics. So we got to do it.
Gotta do it.
All right. So, with that being said, Yvonne, I want to know what you were going to tell me while we were coming on air. I'm going to call you tomorrow before Truth Brothers.
Yeah, call me Marvin for Truth Brothers.
You can't remember what we were talking about, can you?
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, for sure.
Oh, do you? Okay. All right. All right. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. You know that we love you and we appreciate you. And again, next week will be the last week for the shows up through the first of the year. Make sure that you come on back here next week to Hot Topics Talk Radio by going to Facebook, typing in Hot Topics Talk Radio. We are here every Wednesday night, me and Yvonne Baker. The show always starts at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. And I'm sure that next week when you come back, we're going to have to tear it up in here because we got to leave you with a little something to last you
Something,
for a
something.
couple of weeks.
Yes.
So, yeah, so we're going to tear it up next week. And I'm sure Miss Cece's, she'll be around. So we might have to get her on. But we'll see you guys next week. Make sure that you tune in to uh, True Brothers TV tomorrow night. The show starts at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, hosted by Ray Gage and Mr. Devon Patrick. They were off last week for an unseen situation. So they are coming back. I think they're going to be doing, what was it? What the hell is going on is what the topic is. So I'm sure they got a great show for you. I know it's great. So come on back tomorrow night to Truth Brothers TV with Ray and Devon. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here as soon as I can take these damn banners down.
See
Yvonne, you got to
next.
remind me to do that.
Oh, okay. Who's going to remind me to remind you? Just saying.
I don't know. But
Well,
thanks
will
again,
some of
everybody.
y'all
We love
remind
you.
us for Tony to take the banners down at the end of the show, please? There we go. We got backup.
Right. All right, y'all. We'll see you guys next week here on Hot Topics Talk Radio. All right. We'll see you then. Bye.
Love you guys.